Dear parishioners, parents and people of goodwill, here we are again, but it is a special weekend, the Mother's Day weekend. Consequently, on this Mother's Day weekend, a significant number of you will also receive a parish bulletin in your letterboxes, highlighting as well the special nature of this weekend for not only our church but also for our society. All our mothers have an influence on us, but behind that influence is their own background stories. Accordingly, on this fifth Sunday of Easter, I would like to zone in on one particular aspect of being a mother, and that is the choices mothers make. These choices make them the person they have become, whether alive or dead at this time of history. In other words, their formation as a person comes from the choices they made. One choice my mother made not only influenced her, but in the end made a crucial difference to my life. The impression I received from my mother was her father, my grandfather, was not a particularly kind person. He had been a league footballer, and one interesting aspect of his life was that he was chosen in 1910 to represent all league footballers in a match race, I believe at the MCG, against the American champion in a 100 yards race. The American champion, if not the world champion at that stage, a woman. And he won the race. That same year was the year my mother was conceived in the womb. And by the time she was 8 years of age, he, Frank Harris, was still involved in football pursuits, either playing or mainly coaching, which meant he was not at home that often. He had enrolled my mother in a state school, but she rebelled as an 8-year-old and convinced my grandmother to put her into the Catholic school while my grandfather was away on one of his pursuits. It was a brave move because when my grandfather came home, she hid in the woodshed because she believed she was going to get a belting from him. However, fortunately, the belting never came, and she was allowed to stay in the state school, in the Catholic school, which in the end not only influenced her faith, but her belief in the value of the Catholic school system. That experience led her to enrol me in both primary and Catholic secondary colleges. As I have intimated, one's choices or decisions help us to be formed as a person, help in the eventual and better formation of others. One's good decisions built on making even bigger, better and harder decisions or choices, however you want to label it. Mothers make a dozen major choices in their lifetimes, as well as 1,000 other choices. For instance, back when my parents became engaged around 1940, there was a great mistrust between Catholics and Protestants. My father was the Protestant and my mother the Catholic. After they became engaged, my father made the big announcement to my mother Thelma that the marriage was definitely not going to be in the Catholic Church. My mother made the wise decision to bide her time, and subsequently, when she was going past the Catholic Church at one stage of life with my father, she said, "Harry, unless you prepare to at least come into the Catholic Church to have a look, the marriage is off." It was a brave decision, as everything was on the line. Somehow that line breaker led her and my father to be married eventually at the St Patrick's Catholic Cathedral in East Melbourne. On many occasions, the decisions of a woman or a mother are blessed with far-reaching consequences, as it has formed one as a better person because of the good motives behind those decisions. But also affects those who will eventually be nurtured into life by us. Another example of choices is that my mother always made the decision to be a contributor to the parent group of any school I was involved in during those earlier days of my primary or secondary schooling. I can even remember her being the Vice President of the Parents Auxiliary at my chosen secondary college, St Patrick's College, East Melbourne. This further choice or decision by my mother and being involved made me always believe that what you get out of life, you put into life. Always believe if you have contact with any organisation, then you try to use your gifts, your talents, resources for that organisation. If you believe that organisation is doing a good job for society in particular. I believe it is true that some things mothers do make an enormous difference to one's life, even though at times to be a mother, it may seem a small decision. I know that mothers often agonise over the choice for primary or secondary school for their children, and many of them make the right choice. Also, another aspect of life, mothers often sense before fathers the need for a change. I mean, in this instance, a change of home. Well, we had good times in Footscray for 16 years and then 5 good years in North Essendon and Strathmore. Then when I was posted to infantry corps training in New South Wales within my national service conscription years, my mother, Thelma, engineered my dad to move close to the beach at Parkdale between Mordialloc and Mentone. That decision or choice of hers has made an enormous difference to my life as I kept on running and swimming in the ocean, not only at Parkdale, but then at some real peak years of fitness when I was parish priest of Torquay, running and swimming continually at what was known as Torquay Front Beach. Now I just swim at Wimstone Beach. But maybe I would not be here swimming today and almost every other day without the initial decision of my mother to influence my father to change their home location to Parkdale near the beach. What I am in the end mainly getting at is that no one can take the place of a good mother and her wise choices. Mothers, hopefully with the cooperation of their husbands, have so many different decisions to make. If they remain and nurture their spiritual side as well, they not only make themselves a person of integrity, they also do the greatest service they can do for humanity. They form a family. Thus I applaud you mothers here today that are listening, and I'd like to pray for you now. Maybe you could bow your heads or close your eyes, whatever, as I pray for you. Loving God, as a mother gives life and nourishment to her children, so watch over these women out there that they may be strengthened as Christian mothers. Let the example of their faith and love shine forth. Grant that we, their sons and daughters, may honour them always with a spirit of profound respect. We ask these prayers through Christ our Lord, forever and ever. Over and out again, until next time we meet, from Father Greg, online.